So recently, I got to my breaking point with sneakers. I've been pretty vocal about how crappy the buying process is for us. It's been so bad. My frustration has leaked onto this channel and I've shown it everywhere. I don't have connections. Not all the shoes I show are seeded to me. I'm thankful for some of the gifts that I get, but for the most part, I'm just like you guys. I'm out there trying to buy shoes on the same platform that you are. And as you know, the system is broken. It is difficult. It's beyond difficult to get the shoes that you want, and it's frustrating. I found myself recently thinking, okay, what can I do? And honestly, I was like, do I need a bot? Do I need some other way to get shoes? And the fact that that even crossed my mind is crazy because, in my opinion, I've got a lot going on. My focus should be elsewhere. There's a lot that I'm trying to do, and dealing with bots and finding some sneaky way to buy shoes is crazy. Like, I wouldn't even be able to take myself seriously opening a pair of shoes that I went through all these hoops to get. So I've been stuck, and I feel like a lot of you probably are as well. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with DP from solesavy. If you're unfamiliar with solesavy, so was I. I was interested in it, so I was like, okay, what can I do? Did this discussion video, which is different than anything else that I've put out there on this channel, but it's so necessary. This is more of like a podcast, lengthy video discussion. I think you guys will enjoy it. I sat in front of my computer and just did a straightforward Zoom call, didn't prepare questions, didn't prepare anything. Obviously, I didn't have like a studio setup or anything. It's just raw. It's me sitting in front of the computer that I edited on and had a discussion. So hopefully some of the questions that you guys might have about solesavy and about the current sneaker game, there's some industry questions in there that you might find interesting, are answered. Let me know what you guys think about this style video. In the description is gonna be a link to solesavy if you wanna sign up. Hit the comment section, let me know if you've had any success there and if you wanna see more videos like this. I hope you enjoy it. I'll catch you on the next one. Let's go. All right, guys, what's going on? This is not the typical video that you're going to see from me very often, but it is a special one. I've got the co-founder of solesavy here, DP. DP, what's going on?
Not much. It's a beautiful Saturday. We just had some Jordan 1s drop, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about that, right? We talk about solesavy and the benefits it has for the sneaker game in general, and you know, a rookie like me as far as comp and sneakers go, and anyone that really hasn't been successful picking up sneakers, whether they're limited, hard to find stuff, collabs, everything.
Absolutely. It has been a tough year. I've been saying to solesavy members, this has probably been the hardest 5-month stretch that I can remember in the 10 years I've been in sneakers. Like, it just, so many different things going on, and we can jump into it, but it's been a tough year for a lot of sneakerheads.
Definitely. It seems like it's been a really bad couple years almost. I mean, that may be a little extra, but I just haven't had much success across the board. And when I first heard about solesavy, it really piqued my interest. I heard about solesavy before you guys approached me for the video, and it piqued my interest because I've just been struggling to buy sneakers for so long. I'm in the trenches, just like everyone else, trying to buy shoes, and recently I just feel a little bit lost. Like, you can't buy anything on the sneakers app anymore, or I can't at least. And I don't know where else to look. My initial thought is my first instinct is to go to Footlocker, Finish Line, East Bay, but I haven't bought a shoe off their launches in a long time. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Let me stop you right there before we hit any other points today. Those, again, I have to apologize every time someone works at Footlocker because I feel bad just kind of bashing their entire setup, but I have to do it. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Footlocker, East Bay, Foot Action, and Champs, the definition of garbage when it comes to releasing sneakers online. If it was up to me, they would raffle every single pair in store. Like, there is 0 point to doing an online release for Footlocker. So much so that when it comes to release day for members, we actually tell them, hey, there's no point. Don't bother. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your sanity. And I think the things that we as sneakerheads are the most short on right now is time and our own sanity
Hmm.
chasing this stuff down. So it's just really not worth it. And it's not worth it because they run an archaic system that's really old, that's heavily botted. A lot of people will say, "Hey, I just tried on Footlocker. It's sold out. It's just released 2 minutes ago," and it didn't sell out. Footlocker honestly takes 6-7 hours to sell out because the system's so busted and no one can add to cart, not even bots. So while you and me are cursing out Footlocker because it doesn't work for us manual users, there's bot providers and slot users selling these slots for people who can't even get through because the whole thing's just so busted. So that would be rule number one at the top of my list for how to cop sneakers right now is just don't mess with Footlocker unless it's a raffle.
Wow. Yeah, that's it's disheartening to hear because I've done promo for Foot Locker Champs, and typically that's on shoes that aren't the launch shoes, but
Yeah.
it's hard to tell people to buy shoes at this place where they have a selection, yet avoid the hype stuff, avoid the Saturday mornings. My question here for you, and this is just speculation, do you think they care about that at all? The fact that it's heavily bought and it's been like this and impossible to
Yeah.
buy for so long?
They do, but it's such a big company, literally a conglomerate, right? There's four brands underneath that Foot Locker Inc. umbrella that it's hard to steer the ship away from the iceberg that it's floating towards right now, proverbially. Like it's tough. Like they are making strides, in the sense that it has made it way harder for slots and bots to get through, but at the same time, it really hasn't made it easier for us. So it's been kind of a lose lose, in my opinion, or a win lose. Um, so they're trying. Again, it's just hard when you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation to adjust your entire setup internally. And for all we know, to their credit, maybe they're working on it internally right now, and it's not public that they're going to make this change in the next 6 months or the next year or two. I don't have that clarity, but I know how they could fix it. And I'm just going to take a quick second here to plug Shopify. If anyone from Foot Locker is listening, please reach out to Shopify Plus for their bot protection. It is very good and it works very well. It would save all of your problems and make your lives easier. Please feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Foot Locker. I will make to Shopify. I will make that connect happen because for the love of sneakerheads everywhere, we need Foot Locker to take care of us. And right now, for a site that has 10,000 pairs, 20,000 pairs of a hype release dropping online, it really sucks that it feels like it's more like five.
Totally, totally. And that's great info right there. And before we get too far, I'm throwing a lot of questions at you here,
Yeah.
and just want to give you the chance to give a little bit of your background. What you've done in sneakers for people that might not be familiar.
Yeah, definitely. I've been when you decide you're a sneakerhead, I don't know when that happens, but the first pair of shoes I ever wanted was in 2009, Raging Bull 5s. But I started my first sneaker company in 2011, Kicks Deals, KICKS Deals on Twitter, Instagram. I'm sure most people have seen it, but if not, check it out. I just realized, 7 years into that business, that something was wrong with the industry and things were getting worse. And the complaints on Twitter and Instagram were kind of piling up, and the frustrations were at an all-time high in 2018. It's funny. That's basically about when you said it's been shitty for a couple years now. 2018
Yeah.
is a good year that's the year that inspired me to do Soul Savvy, right? So I've been in the sneaker industry for a decade. Soul Savvy came from the idea of I hated the fact that everything in the industry that was happening, and even still to this day, is coming from the perspective of how much more money can I charge this person for a pair of shoes that they want? And
Mhm.
that's the driving factor for the business, right? StockX, GOAT, eBay, et cetera, et cetera. There was no innovation for consumers, for people like you and me. Nothing was designed for us. All of the innovation has been around bots. Nothing was designed for people like you and me. Everything is just like, how can I charge you more money for these shoes versus how can I help you? And I knew our approach to, in my opinion, saving the industry was to find people like me who believe, hey, I want to wear my shoes and that's why I do this. Find people who think like that, bring them all together, and then us, strength in numbers really is how I say it, is the more of us that are together that we can be loud about it, the better the industry will be. Because right now, from the outsider's perspective, it just looks like sneakerheads are resellers and those are the same thing. And that can't be what happens to our culture, to the industry. And I want to change that. And the way for us to do that is honestly create a place where people can come together, who can support us through our subscription. And we will do anything and everything we can to make your lives better and easier and save you time and save you money, and fight that battle. Because if we don't do it, all we have left is StockX and Goat, which is not what I want to be a part of or what I want the space to look like in the next 10 years.
No, totally. And I agree with you there. And as someone that, makes sneaker content and the world kind of revolves around getting their hands on shoes, I don't want to have to rely on those places. It's just not an ideal place to buy a shoe. And anytime you pay well over retail, it's not a good buying experience. So, especially if you want to wear them, like you said. So there's certainly a community out there of people that want to wear their shoes, want to pay retail, are down to help one another. And, when you describe all those things, the circle gets a little bit smaller. But within that circle, we gotta, we're gonna end up somewhere. And if that somewhere is Soul Savvy, then so be it. As someone that likes to wear their shoes, likes to help people out, etc., have you noticed that the Soul Savvy, family and members, that's the type of people that are joining up?
Oh, absolutely. And you say like the number gets smaller. It's not that small. The challenge is sneakerheads are not as loud and vocal and obnoxious on social media as your resellers, bot users, et cetera, are, right? So we're kind of like, I'm just trying to buy my shoes. Like, I don't have time for this. Whereas the bot users are like, oh, look at all the shit I bought, which is like a whole nother conversation. It's usually not that true. But yeah, that's the people we find. Like, honestly, a day ago, I don't remember the specifics of the story, but like one member didn't want the Amamanye 3s, helped another member buy it for retail. That member also bought for himself, so they passed on the second pair to another member. She didn't get a chance to buy them, and everyone got their shoes. And I was like, that's fucking dope. Like,
that's amazing.
And to everyone's credit, like, they've built a friendship online. I don't think random strangers are going to be doing that. But when you've been a member for 4 months, 5 months, some members have been with us for 2 years, you tend to know people. I would gladly hook up my friends and people I trust, who I know who aren't going to resell. And that's what it's about. It's like, sneakerheads are everywhere. They just don't have a place to be that's for them. And that's what we want to create at its core.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. That's great. And, if anytime you're able to get a shoe for retail, that in my mind would cover, like the monthly fee of what Soul Savvy is, which is what, $33?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So given all the resources you have access to, I think that's a pretty reasonable and fair price given what you can do with it. It doesn't stop. It's a 24-hour a day thing, right? The monitors are constantly running, so you can do with it whatever you can, right?
Yeah. I mean, 365. We have some people who go, man, that feels like a lot of money, and my counter to that always is like, there is 10, 15, 20 releases a week, $1 a day for the amount of time we will save people to track everything down and make sure we focus your attention not on Footlocker but on the websites with bot protection, with good stock, the places you should be trying, and also just being very real with everyone about what is happening in the space, what is going to be very difficult, what is going to be easy, how to make those things even easier, and so forth and so forth. So it's just, there's a lot of value to be had, and sneakers is 365 thing. It never stops. It's constantly going. If it was up to the brands, we'd have drops on Christmas Day because they can make money, but they give us that one day off a year.
How nice of them, right?
Yeah.
How nice. So I am not very knowledgeable when it comes to buying shoes and keeping up with the Joneses, etc. So, when I hear a term like monitor, I'm like, what's a monitor? There's people out there, people are watching this video that aren't going to know what a monitor is. So what's an easy way for you to explain what a monitor is and how someone on solesavy could use that resource?
Yeah, definitely. So monitors and the entire premise of what we do is we have resellers and bot users who are going to do everything in their power and leverage all the technology they can to exploit the systems and to buy product to then resell it, right? So we're combating that by giving you guys the resources, the tools, the information that you need, and the monitors are one of those things. So the simplest way to really think about it is when a shoe drops and you want to go buy it from Kith, for example, you go to the Kith homepage, you go to new arrivals, you refresh, you find it, you pick your size, you hit add to cart, you go to your cart, you hit checkout, and you wait in that line. What the monitors do is make all that instant. So as soon as a sneaker drops, our sneaker monitors will find you the link in your specific size. You click that link, it adds you to cart and takes you to checkout. At its simplest method, it takes you from point A to point B very quickly, that it does not require your time and your clicking. So ultimately it is saving you, a minute of your time. Something you can do in a minute can be done in 4 or 5 seconds. And that's what you need to keep up with bots right now, because bots are that instantaneous. So by doing that, you're using the same technology they are to check out, and then you finish that off manually. Now, not everything is that easy, right? Pharrell and MDs, Flint 7s, some Yeezys are really one click, buy it, you move on. Superstar Bapes that released a week ago is coming to mind. I was in bed at 5 in the morning, just opened up my phone, clicked a couple things on solesavy, paid for it. There was only 3 pairs of size 11 in stock, and I got one of them, went back to bed, right? The Jordan 1s this morning, obviously much more difficult, and there's layers to this process that we teach and we prepare people for, but that technology at the root is what's there. Because if you have to manually find a sneaker to buy, or you have to wait for someone to tweet it to you, you've already taken an L. It's over. Like there's just no chance in the current landscape, and that's what we're trying to help and fix and provide you the resources to do that, because without it, it's painful.
Yeah, gotcha. So obviously, going into this Jordan 1 2.0 Shadow release, it kind of seemed like everyone knew this was going to be a limited shoe. And I don't know if that's because, shipments are delayed, or if it was just a limited drop to begin with, and that is what we're going to get. And that's kind of the deal with a lot of Jordan 1s this year. But say this was, a regular Jordan 1 release. Where would you suggest people start? Because for me, you mentioned saving time. That's obviously important. I like that I can go on the sneakers app pretty easily. One click, I'm entered. I'm not going to win the pair, but that amount of time is nothing. So if I'm not going to go to a Footlocker or Champs after that, where do you typically go? Where would you suggest?
Yeah, so everyone in the comments is going to curse me when I say these websites, because they're going to say it's impossible to buy from them, but it's possible. Kith, Undefeated, Jimmy Jazz, DTLR, Shoe Palace, Livestock, Haven, there's a couple Concepts, Notra. There's some evading me right now, but I'm basically naming boutiques across the US and Canada right now that have bot protection, and that bot protection comes from Shopify. So what that really means is it takes away a bot's capability to buy one pair just instantaneously with no work. It still requires a manual person to run a bot, and it will stop them from buying 5 pairs or 10 pairs, right? So that levels the playing field, and that's what we want. The best example of this is really the most recent one, which is the Ama Manier 3s. That was a perfect release. It was executed well. No bots worked. I heard the bots were so scared of wasting money on it, as in like it costs to run a bot, proxies, IPs, etc. They were scared to pay for that stuff to not get the shoes, that they didn't even bother running their bots, and bot users were purchasing manually too, which brings so much joy to me.
That is music to my ears.
It is to me as well. But that's the reality of it, right? Right now we have battles that we need to fight. We need to pick the right ones. Otherwise, like, just go to sneakers, throw your entry, and move on with your day. If it's one or the other, fight the battle, or just put all your hope into sneakers and be okay with the W or the L. There's no middle ground. You're all in or you're barely in. The middle is a terrible place to be.
Totally. And I find myself in the middle often, unfortunately. But so, a noob like me, and kind of an old school guy, say I was going to try to buy a shoe on Kith or Jimmy Jazz, one of the places that you suggested. I would think, okay, so 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, this shoe is going to release. I would just go to that website. I would wait for 10 a.m. to hit, and I would type in Jordan 1. Or I would wait for, exactly.
It's over.
Over,
It's
right?
over.
So
Yeah.
so someone that joined up on solesavy and they were excited about an upcoming release, where would they go? Walk me through a release. Say it's a 10 a.m. release. Time wise, the steps. Where do you go before the shoe drops?
Yeah, so everything we do at solesavy happens in our Slack. It's where our community is. It's where day-to-day discussion, information that we pass on, and our monitors are. All of that tech is funneling through our Slack. So when someone joins, they get access to that automatically. But basically, like, a release day for me starts a half hour before it drops. Like, I'm preparing a half hour before release. One, waking myself up, stretching out my fingers, getting myself ready for this. When it comes to those releases, you need to basically be ready to purchase about 5 minutes beforehand so that everything is done. The only thing that is missing is the link to add to cart. So that's why I say, like, it's honestly pointless from a manual perspective for a regular weekend release. Hype, or like, if it's going to sell out, you are fighting a battle where, again, your bots are constantly just pinging websites. And you having to manually find stuff just incredibly slows you down, right? So those monitors being able to, it drops at 10 a.m. Eastern. At 10 and 4 seconds, you have it in your cart. That's the only way to buy it. And to know how to manage all that is what we do, right? There's no magic button. You have to learn these things. That's what we say to a lot of members. Is like, come here, we will help you, we will teach you. We have an immense amount of resources and staff that dedicated to this. Like, we do Thursday night, Friday night trainings for live over Zoom. We do one-on-one trainings. We got tons of courses. Like, we go all in to teach people, but it takes time, right? Like, for you, I don't expect you to go from never having done this to, like, absolute, pro wizard NBA player in 2 days, right? It takes a month. It takes some people 2 months. Depending on how tech savvy you are, it might take you a week. If computers scare you and on your phone, you don't really know how to do things, it might take you a little bit longer, but it's all possible. It is all absolutely possible. And that's one of the things we just really want to give people, is some hope, because all of our hope is being dragged out of the industry and away from us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, those people are out there, the people that aren't technology savvy. I am guilty of that more often than not. So I went on the Slack, and my initial impression was, wow, this is really cool. And I didn't even think that there was this many resources that were out there. Everything from, there was a pair of New Balance that dropped today that I thought maybe I was one of the only people that was going to be going for. A little naive. And then there is, comment sections about it. And there's a New Balance monitor section. And it was pointing you to all these boutiques where you could grab a pair. And I thought that was so cool. And unfortunately, I didn't think that would be there prior to this release. But now I know that going forward, New Balances, if you like that, that's there.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the things people don't know about is, like, our sneaker monitors are tracking 120 websites around North America and even some around the world. Like, I mentioned Kith and Undefeated, but there is, like, smaller shops. I'm trying to unearth a name out of my head right now, but I don't remember them because not a lot of people know them by heart. But, like, we track authorized Nike, Adidas, Jordan, New Balance, Asics, etc., all the brands, dealers around the world. So it's like, if you're buying it from Toronto, or you're buying it from Berlin, or you're buying it from Japan, who cares? As long as it's or Kansas or Cleveland, it doesn't matter. As long as it's coming to you and it's from an authentic dealer for that product, and it's coming to you at a good price, that's a win, right? We don't always have to buy from Footlocker, right? There's stores we can support locally that have that product, and obviously, varying degrees. Not everyone gets Travis Scott, but some New Balance 992s. Those are everywhere, even though they sell out.
Good to know. Good to know. So this, for some reason, production numbers always pique my interest as far as how many pairs a boutique will get versus a store like Foot Locker and Champs. And I know it varies whether it's a collab or just a GR Jordan in general. But maybe you can talk on that. What you've seen. Just use a Jordan release as an example, because people think that there's just 5 pairs, and I know that there's more than that. So maybe you could talk and maybe drop a few real numbers. I don't expect anything to be exact, but just touch on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, like if we use the ones this morning as an example, footlocker.com had 7,000 pairs, which was a waste. Shoe Palace had 1,800 pairs, which was great. It will vary, right? It'll vary from drop to drop. I think the mistake people make is thinking that a general release, like just a GR is, they make hundreds of thousands of pairs. They make like maybe tens of thousands of pairs. It's just available everywhere. It's a general release, not that it's high stock, right? So some of these Jordan 1s, Jordan 5s, just Jordans in general, Yeezys, they make them in the hundreds of thousands, right? The shoes that sell out the most, they make the most because they know they can sell them out, right? So it's that perception of that shoe that you think is really limited, and that might be why you're buying it. It's probably the least limited sneaker out, period. It's actually the most one. It's the one you'll find most in the world, and not a lot of people are aware of that or think about it, right? That GR Skyline or Air Max 90, you're less likely to see that on someone's feet because Nike only made 8,000 pairs versus 80,000 or 160,000 of this Jordan 1 Shadow 2.0.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy to think about, that there are certain shoes that they only make 10,000 of and others they make 100, 200,000 of.
Flint 13s, they made 400,000 pairs.
Wow.
Last year. It's a lot.
Wow.
Obviously, we hear about every holiday. Jordan 11 is the best-selling sneaker of all time for Jordan. Every year they increase it. They're making literally 1 million, and those things fly, right? So perception, demand, production, all that stuff matters and has a play in it, right? It's a weird place that we operate in right now as sneakerheads. It's like the Flint 7s, again, just an example, like, they took an hour to sell out and they're still available in some places. And I think that has affected people's perception of the sneaker, that it's still available, which is terrible. You should never look at a shoe that is that good, that has sold 95% of the way there, as something that's not equally as good as that Jordan 1 that was gone in 15 seconds. You can't think like that, or you'll be a miserable sneakerhead.
I totally agree with you there, like 100%. So I got those Flint 7s off finish line, got lucky, was able to get through just manually on my phone, a rare W. And I am so excited for that shoe. I've seen that it's available other places online, and you'll hear the term bricks thrown out about a shoe like that, and it's like, how? That is such a clean looking, good shoe. I can't wait to wear it, and I know other people feel the same. But again, that circle gets smaller when people realize that it's not worth $300. It's not going for double retail.
It goes back to that loud vocal minority, which is resellers who are calling it bricks, right? Air Max 1 Clot, Air Max 90 Bacon that dropped on Air Max Day. Our members, for the most part, everyone was getting a pair if they wanted it. There was tons of restock, a lot of availability. All of our tools, resources, all that stuff helped. But now it's perceived as kind of like a brick, or it's not as successful as it was because it's not worth $300 or $400. I think sometimes people forget, like, you just need to like the shoes and not be searching it on StockX to let that dictate how you feel about it. Because again, if you're going to do that, you're going to be very miserable. As a sneakerhead, you're going to be a miserable person, and no one wants to be a miserable sneakerhead.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to touch on that because, I have showed a little bit of bitterness in some of my videos because there are certain shoes that I want, I'm not able to get easily, and I just constantly get frustrated, and I find that frustration is leaking into my videos, and I'm like, this isn't really this isn't me, and this isn't how I've been over the past decade plus I've been into sneakers. So it has changed you a little bit. And then this, Soul Savvy is kind of a ray of hope where, you can get some of those shoes for retail. You can feel good. You can see what else is out there as far as buying options go. And, like if I had gotten those Bacons for retail, that would have been great. It's a shoe I paid over retail for, and I was like, why? Why did I have to do that? So kind of want the happiness, and I want other people that watch this video to be happy, and hopefully Soul Savvy is a place where that can happen.
No, absolutely. And part of that is also like, if you were a member at the time, my advice to everyone was like, don't buy the Air Max 90 Bacons and the Air Max 1 Clot for resale right now because shipments are late and the restocks are coming and the prices will drop, right? There was plenty of restocks along the way, but it's just impossible to track if you don't have the right resources. So just think of us as like a concierge. We are always on. We are always tracking things. We are there to help. Everyone has different tastes and interests, and we try to cover the full spectrum of sneakers. And even when we don't cover it, the monitors themselves are tracking it manually, right? So if there's a New Balance you want that we aren't actively helping people purchase because we think it'll probably not sell out right away or it'll be really easy, you just fire up the New Balance monitor, wait for it to update, click your size, and buy it with Apple Pay. Like it can literally be that easy. You just need to know where to look and how to use it, and that's what we're there for. Just overall, make sneakers fun, find good people who love shoes, bring them together, and just see what amazing things come from that, because we're the Jedis and we're gonna strike back.
Totally. So guys, DP and I could probably talk for a couple hours, and we're gonna wrap it up here, but Soul Savvy is something I'm gonna be using, and it is a resource I'm gonna use to buy the shoes that you're going to see in a lot of my videos going forward. So I'm kind of going to document this experience and let you guys know how successful I've been when I buy a shoe using Soul Savvy. I'll point it out in a video, and we'll go from here. So maybe DP and I can talk later on down the line, but I hope if you want to buy some shoes, you can check out Soul Savvy, because like I said, I opened it up for the first time and I was really impressed, and just the resources there are something we need right now. So let's flip the script. No more bitter Eddie for taking L's or anything. Let's try to be happy. Let's try to get some shoes for retail, and we can change the scene. So thank you, DP. Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I just want to say this is a place for real sneakerheads. If you love shoes, you love talking to other people who love shoes, and you want help, you want resources, you want those tools. You want to be in a place that's anti-resell. I kick out resellers. I don't need $30 from a reseller. I'll happily boot your ass if we find out someone's reselling. This is supposed to be the safe place for sneakerheads, and we want to build a future for the industry that's about us and not about really reselling it or anything like that. So come on down. There's a learning curve. You have to dedicate some time to learn and use our tools, but we're going to help you. We're going to help you along the way. And once you get in that groove, it's just an amazing place to be. And I look forward to continuing to do that for more sneakerheads.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the time. If you guys want to check out Soul Savvy, I'll link it down in the description for you. And again, we're going to document how this goes. So we'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully it'll be a release that I got using Soul Savvy. Thanks, guys.